I'm here today with Indre Kaikare from JobRely. And basically, I want to make it short, the introduction. She's helping early stage startups to find employees, investors, and clients. Right? She's heading up the team as a co-founder and CEO, and I'm really pleased to have Indre on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really nice to talk and to maybe educate someone and everyone know what we're doing and how we could help.
Awesome. Maybe just, we can jump straight into it. Tell us about JobRely. What is it all about in your own words?
JobRely is a tool and a service helping especially startups and other innovative tech companies finding employees, clients, and investors in a very efficient and especially cost-effective way.
Very cool. For everybody who hasn't maybe heard about JobRely yet, maybe you could tell us something about the company, maybe, how many clients you're working with or how many visitors or, anything that would, maybe prices that you've won, anything that would characterize the company a little bit.
We're working with small and also well-established startups. The startups, especially in Lithuania, the huge number like Tesonet, Vinted, Kilo Health, like the biggest startups in the region, and we help them in a way that we save a lot of time and also a lot of money recruiting, because startups usually are scaling and growing very fast, and here we are helping them to source and outreach candidates in a very efficient way and to make them a few hires, sometimes 7 hires per month per one position.
Wow. You mentioned that you're working primarily with small and established startups. Who would be typically the person within the startup that you would be working with? Like, who is the champion for JobRely within a startup?
Hiring managers cooperating with HR people. Basically, when we have a job opening, we see that hiring manager is the best recruiter, but of course there should be HR who is like supervising everything.
Yeah, makes
so
a lot
it's
of
like both.
Makes a lot of sense. You actually touched on pricing there a second ago. Like, an HR manager listening in, hearing first time about JobRely. Like, can you give us an idea about pricing or what would be the typical cost involved?
Per project, per one position, we arrange 10 interviews at least. And it doesn't matter how many people out of the pipeline are hired, and it's only $2,000. So in comparison to recruitment agencies, there's huge difference. Also, when it comes to timing, it's up to a month, and you have like a few people already interviewing or even giving them job offers. So it's very fast.
Very, very competitive offering there. Very interesting. HR managers out there, you got to listen up a little bit more to this interview. Very great. So if you could tell me maybe a little about HR managers, right? How do they hear about JobRely? How do they find it? What's the journey that they go through? Maybe what are the top client acquisition channels that they go through?
Currently, it's direct sales. So basically, we find them on LinkedIn, and we approach them, tell about ourselves, and they start working with us. We're also starting social media and other social advertising campaigns, but it's the very beginning for us.
Gotcha. Very cool. And since you mentioned direct sales as a key driver there, what role would you say does the website play for your client acquisition?
It explains everything, because it's a very modern way of hiring, and we put a lot of effort explaining what is the real value we're creating. And so when you go on our website, you can see the whole flow, the whole journey, and what hiring managers could expect for.
Gotcha. And would you consider the website to be a key part in sort of the acquisition, or because you mentioned direct sales, it's very interesting to see how do you perceive the website? What's the the importance of the website for acquisition?
It is important, of course, because it's like the first thing our clients see. Moreover, we always provide like a free trial, the initial process to make sure that there are enough potential candidates we could approach, because what we do, we scale recruitment. So in a day we could approach from 50 to 100 candidates, and it's a lot, right? If you're looking for someone very special, we could find, because we're approaching as many people as we could.
Very, very interesting. Since we're touching a bit on the website here, I'm curious, like, what would you consider is the strength of the website? Is it the ability to convert, right? If somebody's coming, or is it the quality of the leads that it generates, or the user experience you provide? What do you consider the strength of the website?
Are you talking about the website or the platform, the app we're
The
having?
website, JobRely.com.
Yeah, so the website is, I think it converts, but it's, interesting question. So, well, it shows like what is the difference in terms, in comparison to the usual recruitment, right? Because we emphasize sourcing and candidate outreach parts, and we also have a blog where we explain like how you should behave in order to attract the most suitable candidate. And so it's a lot of education at the same time, not only explaining our product.
And on the flip side, what would you say would be, where's the most room for improvement? You know, we sometimes people mention conversion rate, or the quality of the leads, or the experience in itself. Like, where do you personally feel there's room for improvement on the page?
Yeah, so explanation, because again, it's really something very unusual, and so we have to explain why you should do that instead of what you used to do.
Gotcha. What have you done already in order to bring that message across clearer? Like, is there some experiments that you're running? Like, what do you typically do on the website to get that message across very clear?
Yeah, many experience, like many cases, and we test users, we talk to people after they read it, and like we post also a lot on social media, and we get a feedback that, you know, there should be a video which could explain more, or like you should put not pictures you create, not illustrations you create, but maybe the pictures of the platform you have. So there's a lot of input, and we really appreciate that.
Very cool. I want to come back to the service that you offer, right? For everybody who's listening in, maybe could you describe them just one more time? Like, how would you describe, like, what's, you know, your competitive advantage? How do you, you know, are different to other offers in the market?
So basically, we compete with the traditional recruitment agencies, and the first huge advantage is pricing. Because in US, per job opening, you spend, I don't know, 20, 30,000 if you're headhunting, right?
Mhm.
With us, you spend only 2,000, and you could hire not only one, but sometimes a few people.
Mhm.
Once there was a client who hired 7 Python developers out of 11 interviews. So it's really qualified interviews, and it's very successful, and it's hard to imagine that you spent only 2,000 for 7 Python developers.
Very good. I actually probably will have to pass that on to the PathMonk team here.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good. If we would be looking behind the curtain, right? How is the sales and the marketing team structured at the moment?
So we have outsourced marketing team, which is helping us, and sales is being in-house. It's done. Everything is done in-house, and I participate in this a lot because I used to work in recruitment for more than 10 years. So I think I really understand how hiring managers and recruiters think, and I think it's when it comes to recruitment, it's very personal. So we're not at this moment where we already scaled up and we know the perfect pitch we could present to anyone. It's more like going deeper into personal expectations, and presenting how we could help and how we could like fasten the whole process.
Very cool. Very interesting combination of the outsourced marketing and the in-house sales team. Like, how would you say, how, let's say a lead comes to the website, is booking, for example, booking a demo. How would they be handled between marketing and sales? Like, how did you set up? Could you walk us through the process? What happens?
So we have a person like product owner who is like having in his hands all the marketing. So basically what's outsourced, it's like technical task which has to be done.
I see. Very interesting. Okay, let's switch maybe and talk a little bit about you as a leader in the team. What type of content do you consume? Like, how do you educate yourself?
Oh, so myself, of course, I read about all the CEOs, right? Successful or not so successful ones, because it's very important to support yourself. Because usually when you start a startup, you expect that it will fly, and it doesn't, right? So you have to find the strength and to be and to find the patience, right?
Yeah.
One thing. Another most important area for me is and used to be recruitment, like and also analyzing the cooperation between HR people, recruiters, and hiring managers, because usually there are very different expectations in one company, right? So CEO thinks that HR has to do everything from identifying what skill set is needed and creating job description and everything. And my interest here is like to find the perfect balance and to find how the recruiters and hiring managers could cooperate best, because only this could bring the product to the result.
Very interesting. Very interesting. What I would like to do is, since we're slowly coming to an end of the interview, I want to jump into our rapid fire questions. There's some surprise questions for our guests, right? They're short and crisp. Everybody survived so far. Are you ready for those?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. What's the last book you read?
It's Factfulness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I remember the name of the author, but I believe everyone knows this book.
Yep, I think it's actually on my desk as well. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Making hiring managers understand how much of involvement they really need when it comes to growing their team.
Mm-hmm. Very good. If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would want to have fixed for your company today?
Artificial intelligence doing all the work, so no human intervention would be needed.
Very good. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the company?
Artificial intelligence, that it's not so much developed in these days yet.
Mm-hmm. And the very last question, if today would be your very first day working on JobRely, what would be one advice that you would give yourself?
To be patient, because yeah, all the time it's like you want to fly and you want to run and you want to build this product because you think it's so easy, right? It's more difficult to recruit than to build something, but it's not. So
very good. Indre, thanks a lot for being on the show with us today. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody forgets everything about the interview that we just discussed, what would be one thing that they should remember about JobRely?
So if you really would like to hire fast and to save a lot of money, don't spend money for recruitment consultants. So just use JobRely and we could assist you.
Very good. Thanks for being part of the show.
Okay, thank you.